So guys, with the anniversary rapidly approaching, I'm going to be doing a video comparing both the Year 8 anniversary banners and who you should be prioritizing your stones for. Now this is very similar to a should you summon, but naturally of this being an anniversary and there being a dual Dokkan fest, you should be summoning for both, but I know there's a lot of you free-to-play players who only have a limited and finite amount of stones, so there's obviously a banner or a unit you want to prioritize specifically. And that's exactly what this video is for today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare both the banners, I'm going to compare both the units, but before I do get into that, if this video is helpful for you, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you are new, all the support is very much appreciated, and also, it's entirely up to you who you are summoning for. This is just to help you, give you some tips, but at the end of the day, Dokkan is a single player game. Go for whoever you want to go for, regardless if they're better or not, and go on the banner and summon on the banner you want to go for most. Because one of the main things I will say is, if one banner is better for you than another, then you may want to put your stones into that as well, or instead. But naturally, I know a lot of you, including myself, do want to essentially pull both. So we're going to start off with the kits. We do have the Z Duo first. I really do like their animations a bit more, and also the art style. But that's kind of, I was going to say that's neither here nor there. Animations are a big part of Dokkan, but still. They are going to lead Power of Wishes or Last Resort category with Ki +3, HP and attack and defense plus 170, and give an additional HP attack and defense plus 30% for characters who also belong to Connected Hope or Margin Buu Saga category. Now Last Resort is indeed final trump card, so in terms of the units that do span across their 170 leads and also the 200% lead portions, you know, you're looking at the likes of Orange Piccolo, you got God Goku from Saiyan Day, you've got Easy A Gums when he comes out in part 2. There's also the likes of SSBK, who's also getting an Easy A, who's like one of the hardest hitting units in the game. Once that does drop, you've also got the Year 5 Easy A's as well. And not to mention, the GT Duo also do go on the Z Duo's lead as well, the same way the Z Duo also goes on the GT Duo. So of course, the leads are very strong. On 12 key, they will stack defense. They will also raise attack by 30% for one turn, cause cross damage to the enemy. Then on 18 key, will greatly raise defense by 50%, that's stacking by 50%. They will also greatly raise attack by 50% for one turn as well, cause mega cross damage to the enemy. Then on their passive, they're starting with attack and defense plus 200%, then an additional attack and defense plus 50% when HP is 50% or more, plus an additional defense plus 100% and an additional key plus 1 per key for obtained as the first attacker in a turn. And they'll then get an additional attack plus 100% and an additional key plus 2 per keys for obtained as the second or third attacker in a turn, which is the ideal spot. You know, you get an extra attack plus 100%, and also the additional key is going to help you consistently launch their 18 key super, where you can get that 50% attack raise, where you can also get that 50% defense raise in terms of stacking, and also that 50% attack raise for the turn as well. So maximizing damage, maximizing the stack, and then not only that, they'll launch an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18 or more. So having them in slot 2 or slot 3 is also going to help you get the extra key per keys for obtained, and then also hit that 18 key, so you do have that 70% chance of the additional super to then also stack again and do even more damage. And then on top of that, they'll launch an additional super attack when key is 24 or more, which again, this additional key will help you get closer to. A little bit less consistent because it is 24 key, but even so, they do have the possibility of super attacking 3 times in one turn. Of course, one of them is guaranteed because it's your natural super attack. The second one, of course, is a 70% chance, which is very good. And then, of course, you have the extra guaranteed super attack if you do get 24 key. So the potential of them stacking, they can stack by 50% to 30%, and then do a ton of damage in one turn as well. They'll then get an additional key plus 1 and a chance upon a critical hit plus 10% up to 50% with each super attack performed, which the possibility of super attacking 3 times even before you consider dupes is going to help them build up even quicker. Then the main selling point of both these units, which of course we received early on global, being the standby. We'll switch to standby for 5 turns, gain 1 charge counter per keys obtained for all allies, and then the conditions can be activated when HP is 50% or less, or after performing 4 more attacks during battle, starting from the 4th turn, which of course with all these built-in additional attacks, very, very easy to do compared to getting your HP down to 50% or less, and of course a very good link set considering they are Super Saiyan, Pure Saiyans. Naturally, they have Saiyan Warrior Race, Golden Warrior, which is Duty Link, which they didn't have this, but still, they also have Super Saiyan Experience Fires, Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, and also Legendary Power. Their categories are Power of Wishes, Last Resort, which Last Resort is Final Trump card, Connected Hope, Majin Buu Saga, Pure Saiyans, Join Forces, Battle of Wits, Mastered Evolution, Fate Induced Battle, which of course is Battle of Fate, Power Beyond a Super Saiyan, Bond of Parent and Child, and Desperate Struggle, which on Global is of course All Out Struggle. Then we have the actual standby, which I love this art by the way, and their animations for that Super Spirit Bomb I absolutely adore. In terms of the passive, of course, Goku cannot attack, or Vegeta cannot attack, or essentially neither of them can attack, but it is Vegeta who does come out. But you cannot attack with this unit except performing the finish attack. You'll get a 250% defense. You will guard all attacks for 4 turns from the start of turn. Randomly change key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, and you'll reduce damage received by 8% per key sphere obtained. And then an additional attack plus 500% when performing a finish attack. So essentially, the standby, I mean, you're already used to it with the World Tournament Goku, but pretty much untouchable for 4 turns, self-sustaining with the key changing and also the extra damage reduction, but you know, essentially to help you fill up the gauge quicker to get off the finish skill, or essentially the Super Spirit Bomb of the finish skill. So if you get the standard Spirit Bomb, which is where Goku doesn't go Super Saiyan, he'll temporary attack plus 15% per charge counter accumulated and causes ultimate damage to the enemy. You'll still do a bag of damage, you just won't of course do as much and won't have the Super Spirit Bomb animation that you do get if you do get enough ki. And this can be activated when charge counter is 38 or below. And then when you do the Super Spirit Bomb, of course the one everyone wants, you will get temporary attack plus 20% per charge counter accumulated, causes super ultimate damage to the enemy. And the finish skill condition can be activated when charge counter is 39 ki or above, or charge counter is 39 or above. Then we have the GT Duo, who's actually all round as a unit considered and is the better out of the two. That's not saying the Z Duo is bad, but these two are the slightly better unit. I do think the Z Duo for some reason are really underrated. Naturally, they can get caught because they do need to build up, the same way the Year 7 units had to build up along the way, and if you got caught while you're doing that, or on the wrong phase during Red Zone when it first dropped, you would die. So I don't get why they're so underrated. They are still very, very good. Just, of course, they're not going to look as good as they can be when they're trying to build up and they're not in that idle scenario. That's just going to happen. But the GT Duo are the better of the two, and they lead Power of Wishes and Battle of Fate with Ki plus 3 and HP and attack and defense plus 170, and then give the additional HP attack and defense plus 30% for characters who also belong to Last Resort, so Final Trump card, and Shadow Dragon Saga. Again, a very strong 170 and 200% lead is pretty much very similar, if not almost the same, as the Z Duo, aside from the Shadow Dragon Saga specifically, which unfortunately, just like Majin Buu Saga, hasn't received that much love recently for you to be including units from that category. So kind of is what it is, maybe apart from the Year 7s, but even then, meh. So on 12 key, they will stack attack, they'll raise defense by 30% for 1 turn, cause colossal damage to the enemy. On 18 key will stack by 50% on the attack, but greatly raise defense by 50% for 1 turn, cause mega colossal damage to the enemy. On their passive, will get attack and defense plus 200%, and then an additional attack and defense plus 50% when HP is 50% or more. Then an additional defense plus 100% and an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained as the first attacker in the turn, and then an additional attack plus 100%, an additional key plus 2 per key sphere obtained as the second or third attacker in the turn. So again, very similar to the Z Duo, just a slightly more offensive version. They will launch an additional attack that's a great chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18 or more, and then launch an additional super attack when key is 24, then get an additional key plus 1 and damage reduction received by 10% up to 50% with each super attack performed. So this is why the GT Duo is overall a slightly better unit. Yes, you're stacking attack where defense is a lot more valued by a lot of people, but considering you're stacking attack and not getting that the multiplication, your defense is not making those big jumps, at least with the possibility of launching 3 supers. Yes, they're not stacking, but they are not stacking defense, they are stacking attack, so they're going to be doing even more damage every single time they appear, every time they super attack, especially if you're super attacking at least 2, potentially 3 times a turn. They're going to be doing a bag of damage every time they appear. But you're talking 2-3 super attacks by 50, raising your defense by 50%, then 30%, and then potentially a second 30% before you consider dupes. So their defense is in a pretty safe spot, especially when you consider all this extra stuff they can get in their passive, especially when they're the first attacker in a turn. And then not only that as well, 50% damage reduction on top of all of that defense they can get in a turn as well after you finish performing a total of 5 super attacks, which again isn't difficult considering they have 3 built-in super attacks and at least 2 if you're not hitting the 24 key one. So this is why all round they're the slightly better unit. So their standby, you'll switch to standby for 5 turns rather than Z-Duo who have 4, which can be activated when HP is 50% or less or after receiving 4 more attacks during battle starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle. So their their standby is attached to them receiving attacks, whereas the Z-Duo is doing attacks, which is still very good. Like when you're doing Red Zone, the Shadow Dragon event, there's so many attacks anyway. Receiving 4 will take you no time at all, and turn 4 is a decent turn limit to wait for it. Their link set is same warrior race, same lineage, experienced fighters, GT, prepared for battle, fierce battle, legendary power. Aside from GT, you're probably going to have all of these, and on an odd occasion, not experienced fighters, but all of these will be active pretty much majority of the time. Their their category is Power of Wishes, Battle of Fate, Final Trump Card, Shadow Dragon, Saga, Pure Saiyans, Joined Forces, All Out Struggle, GT Heroes, Bond of Parent and Child, Connected Hope, and also Power of Revival, which is Powerful Comeback. Then we have the standby where you're going to GT Super Saiyan Vegeta, which also has all the other GT Saiyans as well, including Trunks, Gohan, and Goten. And on super attack, which you still function by the way, it's not like the Z-Duo where you can't attack. Vegeta will greatly raise attack by 50% for 1 turn and cause colossal damage to the enemy. On 18 key, he'll greatly raise attack again by 50%, cause mega colossal damage to the enemy, and also raise superclass allies attack by 40% for 1 turn. So quite a nice attack buff on super. You'll get attack plus 250%, then an additional defense plus 150 when HP is 50% or above. All allies will get ki plus 8 and attack plus 80%. So once you super attack, a huge amount of combined support coming from GT Jeets. He will then revive with 100% HP recovered when the character or an ally attacking in the same turn is KO'd, and then an additional attack plus 39% when performing a finish attack. So this is how the two differ. The GT Duo, you have to revive to use the finish skill rather than building it up with the gauge, with the key meter, the charge meter, whatever you want to call it, which will be the Super Ultra Spirit Bomb. Doesn't have the 2 variants, unlike the Z-Duo, of course, because you're not charging up the meter, you just have to revive, which can be activated when the revival skill is activated, and you will counter with extreme power against the opponent who KOs the character or an ally attacking in the same turn. So those are the kits, but let's go through the banners. In terms of the side banner units for both banners, they're not great, so we're just kind of gloss over them. They'll end up going in the general pool anyway, but as I said, they're not great. But overall, just looking at the featured units that both banners have, I'll immediately say the Z-Duo do have the better featured units overall compared to the GT Duo, where of course the GT Duo are overall the better unit out of the 2 anniversary units. Like you've got Gamma 1, who's still one of the best units in the game. Yes, Gamma 2's up there, but Gamma 1 is considered better. You also have Caller, who while he has kind of fallen down the pecking order over the last year or so, he still is very good, and some dupes in him are still incredibly valuable. You have Full Power Frieza, who again is quite old at this point. Maybe kind of does need an easy A, but you know, him and Nameku are they're kind of level, but overall I think I kind of prefer personally Full Power Frieza, just because of the category he does have, especially with the likes of Final Form Cooler, Ella Gold and Frieza. That team is just so strong for a villain team. You have the Gods, who while I will still say, and they are, both year 7 units are pretty much identical aside from when they fuse and transform, one having damage reduction, one having the dodge chance. The reason why the Gods are of course in a much better spot compared to the SSJ4s, and why you would want to pull them if you don't have them, or maybe you still need dupes, and the same can apply for any of these units, is the fact of course they have a better setup right now. Their power to be on a Super Saiyan category is forever being buffed, including by the new 8th anniversary units as well. Not only that, you have Easy A Tech God Goku that can go and slot 1 next to him, Bird Coup, LR Gohan if you want to go that far. They have the better setup compared to the SSJ4s. SSB Vegeta's like the only letdown in terms of units. My boy, checked, he really does need an Easy A. Easy A Gogeta Blue, amazing Easy A. VB is technically better, but still an amazing Easy A. Strength Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Vegito, who need an Easy A at this point, and the same can be said with Super Saiyan GT Vegeta. But the main kind of units are Gamma 1, Cooler, and the Gods, regardless if you need your first copy or need dupes. Then We have the GT Duo banner, which again, side banner units neither here nor there. Gamma 2 is very good, don't get me wrong, and with dupes is amazing, especially with all the possibilities of super attacks you can do, the amount of times you can raise his defense, the amount of damage you can do, and again, especially partnered up with Gamma 1. But Gamma 1 is definitely the better unit. Don't forget as well, there's also the possibility to pick up some of these units with coins if you do still need them, if you haven't pulled them. One of the biggest LR kind of underwhelming releases we've had recently with the LR Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta from last year's Worldwide. Cooler definitely shits on them. Even if you don't have them and if you want them for collection purposes, again, you can get them with coins. And obviously, naturally, you may pick them up from your summons. But Cooler, definitely the better unit out of the two. Namek, as I said, I personally prefer Full Power Frieza just because of the team setup you can have. Namek, I mean, they're both aged quite a lot, if we're being completely honest. Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta is still pretty good, but again, the gods do have the much better setup, where they can still be a lot more runnable in current content. UI Goku with 200 lead is still quite solid, especially with that 70% chance to dodge, where you can utilize it, and he does get the extra defense from dodging. VB, while both year 5 EZAs are very good, VB does edge it in terms of overall package. Bootanks is also a very good LR. Unfortunately, doesn't currently have a 200% lead. Once we get LR Kid Buu, touch wood, that is sometime soon, whenever it may be, he will be winning because hopefully that's when he gets an EZA. He can link up with LR Super Buu. LR Kid Buu will hopefully be a thing. He's kind of in a rough patch right now, and again, the GT Super Saiyan Goku, just like Vegeta, does need an EZA. So as I said, in terms of overall value for stones, the Z Duo does edge it in terms of featured units. I said the main ones being Gamma 1, Cooler, the Gods, but the GT Duo are overall the better unit compared to the Z Duo. I know naturally, again, just like me, a lot of you do want to summon for both of them, but if you're a free-to-play player with a finite amount of stones and limited resources, your best bet, and again, at the end of the day, you can summon wherever you want. It's entirely up to you. But your best bet, if you're going for the unit, if you want the better unit overall, go for the GT Duo. If you want overall best value for stones as a whole, you'll want to go for the Z Duo because they are still very good. I do think they're very underrated. They are still one of the best units in the game. It's just the GT Duo slightly edge it, and they have the much better featured units on their banner as well. And then, of course, one thing you do need to take into consideration on both banners is not only who do you want more, but also what units do you need more. So prioritize the banner where you're going to get most bang for your buck. What units do you not have? What units do you have least dupes in? Your stones probably want to go in there, and you probably want to prioritize that banner over the other one. I'm not saying don't summon them both, but prioritize the banner that has the most value, or if it's kind of the same, or you have dupes in a lot of them, or you have all of them, you're not too fussed about dupes, go for the better unit, which is the GT Duo. So let me know down in the comments which one you're prioritizing. Have a good rest of the day, guys. Take care, and peace.